The engine's rumble steadied Jack Morrison's nerves. Flying was the only place where memories couldn't reach him. And Rocky, his loyal German shepherd, always curled up and slept at his side. Until today. The dog suddenly stood rigid, paws braced against the cockpit window, ears sharp like antennas catching a signal Jack couldn't hear. His amber eyes locked onto a strip of sand below. An island Jack had flown past 100 times. A lonely patch of green and rock in the Florida summer sea. Jack almost told him to settle down. But then he saw it. 3 enormous letters carved from palm leaves, driftwood, and debris, screaming silently from the empty shore. An SOS, clear as day, on a place no one should be alive. Jack's heart kicked hard against his ribs. He could keep flying, keep his peace, keep his isolation, pretend he saw nothing. Or he could break the silence he'd spent years protecting and answer the call that someone, somewhere, prayed would be seen.
I thought I lost you.
We invite you to support us by subscribing to our channel.
Oh, thank God.
The steady hum of the engine was the only thing that
scared.
remained calm. The summer heat shimmered over the Atlantic horizon, the sky a bright, endless blue that promised adventure and hid its storms well beneath the glitter. The Harper family's chartered motor yacht sliced through sunlit waves, its white hull glowing like a carefree dream none of them guessed was moments away from unraveling. Ethan Harper, 44 years old, stood proudly at the wheel. A tall man with a sturdy frame built from years of practical labor, he had sandy brown hair now streaked with stress-earned gray, and the kind blue eyes that always seemed tired lately. His jaw carried a shadow of stubble that came not from laziness, but from his constant belief that morning routines were luxuries for someone who wasn't perpetually behind on deadlines. A project manager in Charleston, he had taken this vacation as a last-ditch effort to heal the growing rift in his family, though he tried to disguise that hope beneath cheerful jokes. Lauren Harper leaned against the railing, sunglasses reflecting the diamond whitecaps of the ocean. 38 years old, she was a graceful woman, with dark brown hair tied in a messy bun and sun-kissed skin that hinted at happier summers spent outdoors. She had once been known among her friends for her constant laughter, but now there was a subtle tension in her smile, like she feared any wrong word might snap something fragile between her and Ethan. Her hands, delicate yet firm from years raising their daughter, gripped the railing as if holding on to more than just steel. Their daughter, 11-year-old Chloe Harper, darted from bow to stern with boundless enthusiasm. Small and lively, she had long curly caramel hair and freckles sprinkled across her cheeks like constellations. She wore a bright teal swimsuit covered in cartoon dolphins, and on her wrist dangled a friendship bracelet she had made for her parents, matching ones for each of them. Something she proudly declared would keep us always together. She filmed everything on a purple waterproof camera, narrating each shot in a dramatic reporter's tone as if the world were waiting for her next upload. "This is the greatest vacation ever," Chloe shouted over the wind, spinning in delight. Ethan beamed. "Hear that? Best vacation ever. That means Dad's doing something right for once." Lauren smiled back, though the smile trembled slightly. Inside her heart, doubts churned beneath the sunny facade. Would this trip fix the silence that had slipped between her and Ethan over the past year? Could the ocean wash away the heavy misunderstandings neither of them dared voice? She stole a glance at Ethan's back, broad, familiar, worn, and swallowed the fear that perhaps a boat, an ocean, and 7 days away from civilization might be too little, too late. But this wasn't the moment for doubt. The sea breeze was warm, Chloe was laughing, and hope, that fragile thing, fluttered timidly in her chest. Ethan, checking the dashboard, frowned at a sudden blinking warning light. He tapped it, not wanting to worry anyone. He had heard radios warn about a tropical disturbance forming far east, but the forecast said the storm would curve away. It always did, until it didn't. In the distance, the line between sea and sky blurred, the air shifting. Chloe raised her camera and giggled, oblivious to the subtle shift in her parents' energy. "Look, seagulls are following us like we're the cool kids at school." Lauren ruffled her daughter's hair. "Well, we are pretty cool," she said, trying to sound certain. But then the first wind gust snapped the flag with a violent crack. The color drained from Ethan's face. A quick scan of the sky revealed towering clouds rising like mountain walls, charcoal and boiling. Lightning flickered deep inside them, silent for now, like a beast drawing breath. He tried to turn the boat, but the waves surged faster than he could maneuver. Chloe grabbed the railing as the deck lurched beneath her. "Daddy?" she whispered, confusion twisting into fear. "It's okay," Ethan lied, voice too sharp. "Just a wave. Big wave." Lauren's hand shot out, clutching Chloe. "Ethan, what's happening?" The wind howled in answer, no longer playful. Rain came like thrown gravel, the sea erupting into jagged chaos. Thunder cracked open the sky. The yacht groaned under the assault, climbing a wall of swirling gray water only to plummet sickeningly down. Chloe screamed, tears dissolving into salt spray. Lauren held her tight. "Close your eyes, baby. I've got you. I've always got you." Ethan fought the wheel like a man wrestling fate itself, jaw clenched so hard it ached. He had promised a safe trip. He had promised things would get better. Now the ocean mocked that promise. A rogue wave, towering, merciless, rushed them like a charging beast. Lauren locked eyes with Ethan an instant before impact, terror and love colliding in one shattered heartbeat. The world flipped. Water roared like the sky was drowning too. Chloe's screams vanished beneath the thunder of collapse. Lauren's grip was torn loose, salt in her lungs, cold in her veins. Her last sight, a desperate flash of Ethan's hand reaching for them through whirlpool darkness. Then silence, sunlight, a beach. Lauren coughed violently, gasping air that burned like fire. Sand scratched her cheek as she rolled over, heart pounding like a war drum. Her arms flew around the small body beside her. "Chloe!" The girl trembled, sobbing into her mother's neck. Lauren kissed her forehead over and over, thanking every miracle that her daughter still breathed. But when Chloe finally looked up and whispered, "Where's Dad?" Lauren turned toward the vast blue horizon, empty, and fear wrapped itself around her heart like a tightening rope. Somewhere out there, the ocean had stolen a piece of their family. And Lauren, shivering on that desolate shore with her daughter in her arms, felt the first terrible crack of a hope beginning to break. The sun climbed higher, turning the sand into a scorching blanket beneath Lauren Harper's bare feet as she guided Chloe farther from the water's reach. Salt clung to their skin, drying in uneven patches that stung every time the breeze touched them. Chloe sat close, still wrapped in her mother's trembling arms, her damp curls sticking to her cheeks. Lauren brushed the hair back gently, forcing her breaths to steady. She had to think clearly. Panic would drown them faster than the ocean ever could. They needed water, shade, warmth at night, and hope. Chloe, usually loud and full of whimsical questions, now stared wide-eyed at the horizon, her freckles stark against her pale face. "Mom, He's coming back, right? She asked. Lauren swallowed hard and nodded. Your dad is stubborn. He once refused to quit fixing the bathroom sink for 8 hours. He'll find us. It was meant to comfort, but the fear behind her words lurked like a shadow neither dared name. Lauren forced herself to stand. Her legs shook beneath her shorts, but she pretended they were strong. Come on, she said, managing a thin smile. We're explorers today. They walked inland. The island seemed small but wild. Lush patches of palms, spiky sea oats, and uneven ground covered in driftwood and old coconut shells. Every insect buzz or leaf rustle made Chloe cling tighter. Beneath her own shaky courage, Lauren felt a mother wolf instinct awaken, sharp and protective. And guilt, always guilt. She had asked Ethan for this trip. She had insisted they needed time together. Now, because of her, he might be gone. Mom, look! Chloe ran ahead, her playful nature flickering back to life. She pointed at a cluster of washed-up items, a cooler smashed at the edges, a tangled fishing net, empty water bottles, and a bright orange life ring bearing the faded letters of their yacht's rental company. Lauren's heart squeezed. Traces of them. Traces of him. She knelt and dug through everything, hoping for something useful. The cooler's lid was barely attached, but inside, miraculously, were 2 bottles of water and a plastic-wrapped granola bar. Her hands shook with relief so strong she nearly sobbed. She uncapped 1 bottle for Chloe, who gulped eagerly until Lauren reminded her to slow down. Then Lauren sat back, drawing long breaths, her mind whirring through a survival checklist she never thought she'd need. Shelter, water, signal, food. She turned toward the beach and stared at the vast expanse of ocean that stretched out like a cruel dare. No boats, no aircraft, just the relentless crash of waves against the sand. They needed a sign, something bold enough to scream to the heavens. With renewed determination, Lauren led Chloe to gather palm fronds, sticks, and the pieces of debris. They dragged everything into place, sweat glistening on their skin, arms aching. Together they formed one giant word on the sand: SOS. Chloe stood back, hands on her hips, chest rising with pride. For the first time she smiled, small and fragile but real. Someone will see it, she whispered, as if saying it aloud helped make it true. Hours passed. They found a shaded hollow near a grouping of rocks that offered some relief from the sun. Lauren checked the granola bar again, breaking it into 2 small pieces. You eat, she told Chloe. You're growing. Chloe frowned, but hunger won out. She ate slowly, then leaned her head against her mother's shoulder. Lauren rested her cheek atop Chloe's hair, watching the waves roll endlessly. Her mind wandered. Was Ethan alive? Was he floating somewhere alone, calling their names? She bit her lip hard to stop the sob building in her throat. No, she couldn't afford tears now. Mom? Chloe murmured. If Daddy sees the island, he'll come. Lauren hugged her tightly. He will. And until then, we survive. Together. As the sun slid lower, casting golden light across the beach, Lauren noticed something odd. Among the footprints they had made earlier, impressions far larger than her own, deeper and spaced wider than Ethan's stride. They weren't hers. They weren't Chloe's. Someone else had walked these sands recently. Her blood chilled. She scanned the tree line, heart thudding. Where had those footprints come from? Were they friendly? or the kind of danger she had prayed never to meet. She stood quickly, pulling Chloe behind her. The island no longer felt merely deserted. It felt watched. And though the ocean had stolen her husband, what lurked in the jungle might steal much more. As dusk crept in, Lauren held Chloe tighter than ever, whispering a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. "I won't let anything happen to you." High above the shimmering coastline of South Carolina, a red and white Cessna seaplane cut through the humid summer air, its engine rumbling like an old heart determined to keep beating. In the pilot's seat sat Jack Morrison, 63 years old, a man carved by years of duty and loss. He had once been a U.S. Army helicopter pilot, one of the best in his unit, until a training accident stole his 19-year-old son, Michael. That grief left a permanent storm cloud behind his steel-gray eyes. His face bore deep lines, a square jaw dusted with silver stubble, and he moved with a quiet efficiency that spoke of muscle memory hardened by survival. He kept his gray hair cropped short, always ready for a mission he claimed he no longer wanted, but couldn't help answering if it came. Jack had traded his uniform for a modest life flying routine coastal patrols and delivery runs. He preferred solitude, pretending isolation was peace rather than punishment. Flying was the only place where the silence didn't scream. Beside him sat his partner in both purpose and pain. Rocky, a 7-year-old German shepherd with a thick coat of black and tan fur, upright ears, and intelligent amber eyes that always seemed to notice trouble before Jack did. Rocky had once been a search and rescue K-9, brave enough to leap into burning buildings or flooded streets. But after losing his original handler during a rescue gone wrong, he became anxious around loud crowds. Jack knew the feeling. 2 broken soldiers, 1 man, 1 dog, found each other, and together they mended in the skies. Today, Rocky should have been dozing happily on the co-pilot seat, basking in wind and sun. Instead, he stood tense, pressing his nose to the window, nails clicking nervously on the metal floor. "Easy, boy," Jack muttered, glancing sideways. "Nothing but ocean." But Rocky wasn't convinced. His tail stiffened, his chest rumbling in a low growl. Jack exhaled sharply and banked the plane slightly left. "All right, show me." The sea stretched endlessly below, blue, glittering, indifferent. At first, Jack saw nothing unusual. Then Rocky barked, sharp, urgent. Jack's gaze snapped downward. On a pale curve of sand, carved against the beach like a desperate shout, 3 large letters formed a perfect signal: SOS. The letters were crafted from dark palm fronds and debris, aligned with precision only desperation could shape. Jack's pulse kicked. Instantly, a cascade of thoughts flooded his mind. Procedure, communication, risk. But beneath them all, a buried instinct roared awake. Someone is down there. Someone who needs help. Rocky barked again, almost commanding. Jack flipped on the radio, static scratching through his headset. "Coast Guard, this is Morrison on patrol. I may have a distress signal on an uncharted island. Coordinates coming." He read the numbers quickly, though doubt bit hard. The radio crackled like it was struggling to breathe. Storm interference? Terrain? Blocking signal? He tried again. "Bar Harbor, do you copy?" Static answered. Jack cursed under his breath. "Just like always," he muttered. "When it matters most, the silence returns." He circled lower. Rocky whined in anticipation. From the window, Jack spotted movement. 2 figures, small, clinging to each other near the tree line. The taller one, likely the mother, was waving frantically, sunlight glinting off her wet hair. The smaller, the child, raised a bright strip of fabric like a tiny flag of hope. A hot pain jabbed Jack's chest. Michael's face flickered in memory, laughing on a beach, fearless in the waves, until a tide too strong stole everything. Jack blinked hard. "Not again," he whispered. "I'll be damned if I fail another family." He throttled back, seaplane skimming lower, floats kissing the waves before settling onto the warm ocean surface just offshore. Rocky paced the cabin, not barking now, but focused. Work mode. Jack unbuckled quickly and grabbed his emergency kit, rope, first aid supplies, and a flare gun. He slid open the door. Humid salt air rushed in. "Stay sharp, partner," he said, his voice rough but steady. Rocky leapt first, splashing into the shallow surf, then sprinted up the sand with purpose. Lauren Harper startled at the sudden bark, holding Chloe protectively. But as Rocky reached them, he slowed, tail wagging once, gently nudging Chloe's hand with his nose. The child gasped with relief, a different kind of tears spilling down her cheeks. Jack approached more slowly. Sand clung to his boots, sun catching the scars along his forearms, faint reminders of crashes survived and men lost. He raised both hands, voice calm, steady. "My name is Jack Morrison," he said. "We saw your SOS. I'm here to get you out." Lauren stared at him, a stranger who looked like he had walked out of war and into their nightmare. Then she broke with a sob she'd been holding all day. "Please," she rasped. "My husband. He's still missing." Jack's expression tightened, empathy buried deep within a soldier's resolve. "We'll find him," he said, like a vow sealed in salt and sunlight. Chloe clung to Rocky now, small fingers buried in thick fur as if anchoring herself to safety. The dog pressed closer, letting her. Jack scanned the beach and froze. Near the rocks, footprints, large, fresh, not belonging to mother or child. Danger had been here, might still be. He stepped closer to Lauren, lowering his voice. "We have to move, now. Whoever else is on this island, they may not be friendly." Lauren's breath hitched, realization cutting through her relief. The ocean wasn't their only enemy. The island breathed secrets. Jack gestured toward the plane, adrenaline sharpening his thoughts. "We'll get you safe. Then we'll come back for your husband." Behind him, Rocky stood rigid, sniffing the air, ears locked on the dark jungle shadows, as though those shadows were staring back. Somewhere in the trees, something watched. And the rescue had only just begun. Rocky's growl settled into the ground, like a warning trembling through the sand. Jack Morrison didn't need translation. He had trusted this dog's instincts enough times to know danger when he saw it reflected in those amber eyes. Lauren Harper's relief at seeing a rescuer deflated into fear again, tightening her grip around Chloe as Jack motioned them toward the waiting seaplane. The ocean breeze carried a warmth that should have felt comforting, but instead it seemed to whisper caution through the rustling palms above. Jack's boots crunched softly across the beach as he studied the footprints again, heavy, purposeful, and recent. Whoever left them moved with confidence. That alone was enough to raise every alarm in a trained soldier's brain. "Mom, what's wrong?" Chloe asked, her voice timid, fingers still woven into Rocky's fur, as if he were a guardian statue come to life. Lauren tried to sound brave. "Nothing, sweetheart. We're just being careful." But her voice strained at the edges, making the lie translucent. Jack scanned the tree line, jaw tightening. "We need to get you two in the plane. I'll call for evac." Lauren hesitated. The beach had become a bittersweet ground, salvation and threat all at once, but the water beyond looked impossibly wide. "What about Ethan?" she whispered. Jack met her eyes. Beneath his rough exterior, empathy flickered like a candle refusing to go out. "I will not leave this island without searching for him." He didn't add what haunted the back of his mind. Searching might mean finding a body. For now, hope was the only medicine they had. He helped Lauren and Chloe wade through the gentle surf, while Rocky circled outward in wide, guarded loops, checking for movement. Jack steadied Chloe as she climbed onto the pontoon. But the moment Lauren set foot toward the plane, Rocky froze, nose raised, ears cutting through the air like antennas, staring deeper into the island. Jack's blood ran cold. Someone was watching. And then he heard it too, a faint rustle of fronds bending where no wind blew. "Inside," Jack ordered firmly. Lauren scrambled into the seat beside her daughter and pulled the door shut. Jack reached in and grabbed the flare gun. It wasn't a weapon meant for close combat, but it was better than nothing. Rocky moved first, trotting ahead of Jack, body low, movements careful, his tail straight as an arrow. They crept past the last dune and closer to the tree line. Jack strained to listen. The jungle seemed to breathe in the silence. Then, footsteps, slow, calculated. A figure emerged far down the shoreline. A man limping, leaning heavily on a thick branch as a crude crutch. He was dressed in tattered clothing that looked part sailing gear, part scavenged fabric. His hair hung in wet, stringy clumps around a sunburnt forehead streaked with grime. His beard was uneven and wild, tangled like his stare. He looked mid-30s, tall but gaunt, as though hunger had sculpted him down to bone and desperation. His right leg was wrapped in a dirty strip of cloth stained dark near the thigh, blood dried to rusty patches. When he saw Jack and Rocky, his eyes widened, hope flaring so violently that his voice cracked. "Hey, help, please!" Rocky responded with a short bark, ears pinned forward, reading the man's body language. Jack lifted a hand to steady him while stepping forward. "Who are you?" The man stumbled closer, hands raised in surrender. "Name's Ryan Cooper," he panted. "My boat, it went down in the storm. There were others, but—" He swallowed hard, gaze darting as if the shadows held answers he feared to speak. "I thought I was alone here." His voice shook as though every word carried a memory he didn't want. Jack studied him. Ryan had the look of someone who had slept with one eye open for days, fear etched so deep it had become instinct. He winced with every step. "How long have you been on this island?" Jack asked. Ryan's breath hitched. "Since the night of the storm. I heard voices once. A woman yelling. I tried to reach them, but—" He looked at his leg, shame flickering across his features. "I fell. They were gone." Behind Jack, Lauren leaned forward in her seat, heart pounding. That must have been us," she murmured through the window. Chloe hugged herself tightly, shivering despite the heat. Jack's instincts warred. His training cataloged every detail. The torn pants, the trembling hands, the eyes that looked like they'd seen fear sharpen into something darker. Ryan took one more shaky step forward, voice cracking. "You've got to take me with you. Please. There's something out here. Someone else. I've seen hints. Footprints. I think the island isn't as empty as we want to believe." Jack's jaw flexed. Confirmation. The unknown threat wasn't just paranoia. It walked among them. He nodded once. "We're leaving. But first, I'm calling the Coast Guard. Jack backed toward the cockpit, holding Ryan's gaze while Rocky stayed between them like a muscular wall of judgment. Jack reached into the cabin for the radio handset. Rocky's growl silenced the waves. Jack turned sharply. Ryan's eyes flicked, not toward Jack, but toward the seaplane, toward Lauren and Chloe, fear flashing into something else for the briefest heartbeat. Predatory calculation. Jack felt it like a punch. His voice dropped, ice calm. Stay where you are. Ryan's expression shifted, mask of panic slipping, then returning just as fast. I'm sorry, he whispered hoarsely. Whether apology or threat, Jack couldn't tell. Rocky barked once, sharp, alert, as if saying, don't trust him. Jack's heart hammered. The plane door shut behind Lauren and Chloe suddenly felt like a fragile barrier. Jack tightened his grip on the flare gun. The sun glared down, shadows stretched long, and the island exhaled, tension thick enough to choke on. The real battle for survival had only just begun. Summer light shimmered across the shallow waves, as if the sea itself were trying to warn them with every glittering pulse. Jack Morrison kept the flare gun steady, eyes locked on Ryan Cooper, whose breath came in sharp, uneven pulls. Rocky stood rooted at Jack's side, hackles raised, muscles coiled like storm-held thunder, every hair on his gray and white coat vibrating with instinctive distrust. Don't take another step, Jack said, his tone controlled steel. Ryan's lips parted in a quiver between fear and calculation. Please, I swear, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. His voice cracked, but his eyes, restless, flicking, betrayed a different truth. Lauren inside the plane held Chloe close against her chest, pulse beating too loud within her ribs. She watched Ryan the way a mother watches a snake in a garden, hoping it slithers away, knowing it won't. Chloe whispered into Rocky's absence, "He's lying," as if the dog could hear her through metal walls. Jack took one slow step forward, and Rocky mirrored him in perfect sync, like partners forged through years of danger and silence. What exactly did you see on this island? Jack asked. Ryan swallowed, throat bobbing under dirt-rimmed stubble. Footprints, but not barefoot like yours. Boots, heavy ones, and smoke, thick like someone burning plastic. I didn't go closer. I wasn't strong enough. His bandaged leg twitched with a pain that looked real, and yet the timing, the theatrics, too rehearsed to trust. Why didn't they come for you? Jack pressed. Ryan's face darkened, fear curdling into a grim memory. Because they don't rescue people. His voice dropped to a whisper carved from dread. They take them. Rocky's growl deepened. Even the sea seemed to hush as if leaning closer. Jack gestured toward the plane. All right, you're coming with us, but you keep your hands visible. For a moment, Ryan's shoulders sagged in relief. Too much relief. A performance reaching its climax. He took a step forward. Rocky snapped instantly. A ferocious bark thundered through the beach, teeth glinting in the sunlight, like a warning etched in steel. Ryan stumbled back, and that was when something clinked beneath his shirt. Not a button. Metal. Jack's reflexes fired. In one rapid motion he lunged, grabbing the neckline of the filthy shirt and ripping it. A black handle flashed beneath the torn cloth. A knife. Long, serrated, hidden just enough for advantage. Ryan's face twisted into something raw and animalistic. Give it back. Jack didn't wait. He kicked the knife out of reach. It skidded across the sand. Rocky lunged, a living shield forcing Ryan backward until he fell on one knee, panting, cornered by more than teeth, cornered by truth. "Explain," Jack growled. "Now!" Ryan wiped sweat and grit from his forehead, eyes wide like a trapped fox. "It was for protection," he insisted, voice trembling. "There are others here. Men who don't want to be found. Smugglers, maybe. I never saw their faces, but I heard them moving at night." He pointed a shaking finger toward the inland jungle where shadows thickened like secrets. Jack didn't lower the flare gun, but his jaw tightened. Because if Ryan was lying, he was very good at weaving nightmares. And if he was telling the truth, then the real threat was still out there. "Lauren," Jack called without looking back. "Lock the doors. Keep Chloe down." "Already done," she yelled, voice trembling but fierce. Jack forced Ryan to stand, checking for more concealed weapons, nothing but splintered fear and hunger clinging to his frame. "You will stay where I can see you if you try anything." Ryan nodded frantically, stumbling backward until his spine pressed into a palm tree. "I won't." Jack moved toward the plane to radio for help, but Rocky didn't follow. The shepherd sniffed the air, ears rotating like radar. His body stiffened. He stared toward the tree line where mangroves knotted thick as clenched fists. Someone else was there. A faint metallic click, like a gun's hammer being gently tested, cracked the silence. Jack froze. Rocky's lips curled. Chloe whimpered, covering her ears. Lauren whispered a prayer into her child's hair. Ryan's eyes filled with horror. "They found us," he breathed, voice barely a thread holding his sanity. Jack stepped back toward the plane, shielding the windows with his own body. He didn't know if he could protect all three, but he would try. Because failing was a pain he refused to live again. The jungle rustled, and the island exhaled a predator's breath. The real danger had arrived. When fear surrounded them and the world felt impossibly dark, they discovered a truth many of us forget. God never abandons his children. Sometimes his miracles arrive not as thunder in the sky, but as a loyal dog who hears danger before we do, or a weary soldier who finds the strength to protect others even when his own heart is tired. On that forgotten island, love, courage, and faith became their lifeline, and God lit their path home. In our own everyday struggles, whether we face loneliness, illness, or worry, remember this: no storm is too strong, no island too far for His grace to reach us. Miracles still happen, and the greatest one is knowing that we are never truly alone. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need hope today. Leave a comment and tell us about a moment when God sent you help in an unexpected way. Don't forget to subscribe to join our community of faith, love, and loyal companions. May God bless you and keep you safe wherever your journey leads.